This is the Lotus Emira. It's not just any Lotus Emira, it's the first edition. And it's not just any first edition either, it's the 4-cylinder one. Hello, I'm Peter Anderson. Welcome to the Red Line again. Yes, I'm still going. More than one video in 4 years, look at me. Now, as I've just told you, this is a Lotus Emira. This is the replacement for the Evora. Or is it the replacement for the Elise? It could be both, who knows? New owners, Geely, they've thrown a lot of money at Lotus. There's a couple of EVs already out. Well, there's 3 in fact if you include the Evija, but that's not a normal car. But you've also got a sports car, the true to the roots car. So this thing, really, it's about the same size as the Evora. It's the same form factor as the Evora. And when you drive it, it even feels like an Evora. Let's quickly go through what it is. First edition, which means 20-inch wheels, painted brake calipers. Apparently solid paint is an optional extra. That seems a little... Anyway. Some stuff in the interior that we'll have a look at in a minute. But yeah, basically we're really here to see what the Lotus Emira is like because it's been a while since we've driven a Lotus. It's got the Mercedes M139 2-litre straight 4. It's got a ton of power and torque, but it hasn't even got the full fat one. It has the 280 kilowatt one. The full fat one might be along soon enough. And I know you can also get these with the Toyota supercharged V6. But this is the future of the Emira. The V6 could go at any time. So we're here to look at the car that is going to be the Emira. I mean, just look at this thing. It is so perfectly proportioned. I love the intakes. I love the way it's sculpted out of the side like a McLaren. I love the Evija echoes in the rear there. I love the beautifully rendered Lotus badges. It all just looks fantastic. And one of the things that makes this different from the old cars is there's just so much more stuff in it that Lotus just couldn't get their hands on before. So let's have a really good look at this car and then we're going to take it for a drive. Here we are. Now, I really like this bonnet. This shape through here just looks fantastic. That's where all the radiators and suspension goes. It's a very low car, so you can't have, everything sitting up. I even love the mirrors. I think these mirrors, they're just perfect, even though they're huge. I mean, they're big enough for an SUV. And look, I don't know about you, but I think that this side view is really something. Just such a lovely shape. I really, really like this. I think this looks really good, this whole piece. And Ferrari, some door handles there that don't get full of schmutz. Around the back here, really, it's really identifiable actually. I think once you know this is a Lotus, you'll always know it's a Lotus. You can't be mistaken for anything else. And yeah, those Evija, this Evija stuff here, it just looks fantastic. I reckon it's a fantastic looking car. I don't think I can fault it. I mean, I'm not a designer obviously, but I don't think this could have been a better looking car. Let's have a look inside. So one thing you'll notice about this car immediately, how easy this is to get in and out of. The Evora had this big kind of intrusion. The car was very strong and that was part of the strength of the car, but yeah, big intrusion. Whereas this has just got a really easy to get in and out of. It's, if you're any taller than I am, it gets a little bit hard, but I've had a 2 meter tall friend in here and he was comfortable. Don't want to hit bumps too much, but comfortable. Okay, so here we are in this fantastic interior. It's so different to previous Lotus interiors, which were so stripped out. Like the Evora, yeah. I mean, if you want to go back to the 80s with the Esprit, yeah, it had leather and everything, but some really nice materials. I like the, whoops, got a bit of glove box happening. I really like this Alcantara here. Yeah, this is a big step forward from the Evora, which was perfectly functional, but there wasn't much to it. Whereas this car, yeah, it's got a lot more. It's pretty good. You've got a digital dash here, big screen here. There's not a lot in this screen, but there's a couple of nice little features like a G meter, a timer clock, and for some reason, a graph for your fuel stats. I'm not sure too many Emira is going to care about that. You got climate control. I love the, there's a little logo here of a driver with a helmet on. That's very cool. Drive mode controller, volume knob, automatic transmission, of course. This is the Mercedes engine with the Mercedes transmission. This is the only bit of the interior I don't like. It just feels flimsy, and it's just over the stop-start button. I don't like it. Leather everywhere, but the stitching in this car and the Alcantara is part of the first edition. A couple of cup holders here. Tiny little box here where you can put where your USB ports are, and there's also space down here with more just to put stuff really. And there's somewhere to put your phone there securely. You got paddle shifters. Look, I'm not totally convinced about this wheel. The paddle shifters don't really. This is kind of dunk, 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 rather than clickety click. But I do like the shape of the wheel, flat bottom. I'm not sure if you'd need it in this car, but it's there anyway. It's really nice in here. I mean, you can see stuff from other cars. I think these are Volvo stalks. But again, that's the kind of stuff that you just want it to work. It doesn't matter where it's from or where you can spot it from other cars. People get really wound up about that. The old cars had crappy stalks from a Barina. That's Corsa for those overseas. Whereas, this is Volvo, these are nice. Or I think they're Volvo anyway. But yeah, really great interior, really comfortable seats. These are very, very comfortable. Like I was saying before, it's got all the safety stuff, it's got all the new things. It's just got the backing of a manufacturer that cares. Now, you can say what you like about Geely buying this company, not just the car, but the company, but they've brought a lot to the table. This car is $206,000, but you're not going to get anything like this form factor for that kind of money. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but what else are you going to get? So I think the first test of any sports car is this a daily? Yeah, I reckon it is. Straight off the bat. You can't say that about every Lotus. You can't say that about every sports car, but immediately this feels like a car you could cheerfully get around in every day. It's easy enough to park. We'll talk about the thing that doesn't make it simple to park. It is a little noisy, but it's on a lot of rubber. This is the first edition with 20-inch wheels and whopping great Goodyear Eagle Sport F1 tyres, a tyre I'm quite familiar with and very pleased with, having spent some time thrashing a Porsche around Eastern Creek on these tyres in the wet. This isn't a great surface, so it's quite noisy. Immediately it's comfortable, even on this sports chassis. This is a terrible piece of road, and I choose this for a reason. It's quite happy even in the sports chassis, and I have driven the touring chassis, which is even more comfortable. But my goodness, this car, that's my Lotus smile. If you've seen my Elise video, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This car is just great. Like, the steering is, honestly, it's straight out of the Evora, and that was the benchmark for so long. The grip in this thing is phenomenal. Yes, it's got a lot of tyre, but it doesn't overwhelm the car, all that tyre, because the suspension is working so hard. And of course, this is such a stiff platform. Lotus have done such an amazing job over the years producing lightweight, stiff cars. Yep, this is 1,400 kilos. It's a lot of weight. Not going to get away from that for a Lotus, but it doesn't feel it. It really doesn't. It feels a lot like the lighter Evora, and it's just lovely. It really, 280 kilowatts, 430 or 450 newton meters. I'll put the right number on the screen, but it doesn't matter. It's brilliant. It doesn't matter which it is. And this M139, look, when you're pootling around, it's a little bit hard to get on with, but we already know that from the A45. I only know the A45S that we get here in Australia. We only get the standard car here, and that's 280 kilowatts as opposed to the S's 310, and I'm pretty sure the 310 is going to end up in this. Yes, I know you can get a supercharged Toyota V6 in this with a manual. This car would love a manual. I don't know that this engine would, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but I just have to tell you again how great the steering is. And the front end on this, if this front end gives up on you, you've done something really stupid. Wow! Oh, I haven't driven something this fun for so long. Oh, it's lovely. So anyway, the M139. The reason it's in this car is that Geely is Mercedes' single largest shareholder, and of course they work together on the smart car. So, you know, they've spent some money with each other, and the result is the engine, I think, for the Emira for the long term is the M139. So, you know, if you don't like it, you're stuck, or get out and quickly buy a V6. But, I mean, the power is undeniable. Even when you're poodling around, as I said before, it's a bit gruff and a bit not great. But once you get on it, it comes alive. All the hushing and whooshing and whoosh from behind your ear. It's like a Ferrari 360 Spider. You've got that intake right behind your ear. I haven't got the windows open for the obvious reasons, but that's how I drive this car, with the windows open. From the front, when we were doing the tracking shots, it sounds like a fighter jet idling on the runway. But yeah, it sounds great in here. And it really, the torque is always there. It's right there in the middle of the rev range. And that front end, anyway. What don't I like about the driving experience? Well, it does get a little bit busy on poor surfaces. Okay, it's a sports car, you live with it. The other thing I'm not super keen on is the transmission. Not the transmission itself, it's a great transmission. It's super fast, lightning fast shifts. Doesn't have the rollback of a twin clutch. It's spot on, really good. However, it's really slow to change from reverse to neutral to drive, or drive to neutral to reverse, or park to drive. It's like, what are you doing? Why am I having to why am I having to shout at you? Stop it! So yeah, that would be good if that was just a little bit, well, just quicker basically. You know, you've got an automatic, you want it to behave like one. You don't want to be feeling like a kid, unable to find reverse in a, you know, in an Astra 5-speed. That feels silly. So I'd like to see that sorted out, but yeah, I've got to the end of what I don't like, and I'm going to get back to what I do like. You know what this car feels like? It feels like a McLaren, and there's a good reason for that. One of the reasons anyway is that the steering is electro-hydraulic. So yes, that uses more fuel, but the road feel is just gorgeous. I know exactly what's going on underneath me. I know what's coming, I know what's happening, and I know what I just know. And that is Lotus. It is so Lotus. It's actually more Lotus than it is McLaren. I mean, the Elise didn't even have power steering, so, you know, obviously what they learnt in the Evora has come right through on this. It's the depth of engineering in this car is stunning. It really is so much fun to drive. Actually, there is one more thing I don't like. The engine, it does hang at the top there. So when you lift off, it doesn't immediately come off. So it's like, it feels like there's a lot of flywheel, and the turbo does kind of take a little while to come off full boost. It doesn't push the car. It's just like, okay, I'm going to need to brake here, or brush the brakes instead of rely on engine braking. But then it starts to wind down and everything's okay. But yeah, just accelerated hard up an uphill bumpy section. The front just stayed, just little corrections on the wheel, nothing needed. And these brakes, I mean, you've seen from the outside shots, they are massive and they are strong, and oh boy. And the back end, it just stays with you. It just stays with you. It's just so nice. As you can tell, I'm really enjoying this car. Oh boy, I could drive this forever. And like, that is quite a big bump. In any other car, that bottoms out. Another car it's like to sit in is an R8. And that's one of my favourite cars, one of my only dumb money cars that I would buy. And again, that doesn't bottom. It's just lovely. Now there's the engine hanging. It's neutral, and then you get a little bit of kick from the tail. Just wonderful. This is what sports cars are about, and Lotus has known this for so long. And you know, anyone doubting whether Lotus could still do it with the Geely acquisition, we're cool. We really are. Those brakes are lovely. Such great weighting. Oh, what a machine. So yeah, it's all right. Oh boy. What a job. So that was the Lotus Emira. Look, I really enjoyed that car. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. Look, I really want to drive the V6 after driving this because while this is a brilliant car, I'll be very interested to see what a manual V6 would be like. This car is crying out for a manual, but I'm not sure that that engine is. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe. Don't forget to go to theredline.com.au, sign up to the newsletter, so every time I post an article, it gets shot out to you, and there will be a full written review of this as well. So if I missed anything in this video, it should be in that review.